Hello and welcome to my fellow friends, detecting friends and treasure hunters. Today, or this evening, in the UK, 8 p.m, we've got our special guest, Marc Hoover from Adventures in History Group USA. Now, this is going to be interesting because he's going to give us some stories and information of what they're finding over in their area or their part of USA. Let's bring on Marc and let's hear and see some of his artifacts and probably some exciting stories. Let's bring him on. Hey, welcome, matey. Welcome.
Hey, John, how are you?
Brilliant, mate. Yeah, right. So, when did you start detecting?
Yeah, so I've been interested in treasure hunting since I was a kid, but I got too busy doing everything else. I didn't really start detecting until about 6 years ago.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay. What was the first machine?
So my first machine was a Garrett AT Pro,
Okay.
which I still have, and it's right behind me.
And so, what things have you been finding with that?
Yeah, so, well, I've gone, since I bought that machine, I probably have 5 or 6 other machines now.
Oh, okay.
Both Minelab and Garrett, but I primarily use the Garrett products right now. I'm using the Garrett AT Max.
All right. Yeah.
And, I'm in Florida, so everybody should probably know that. But we find coins, old relics. It depends on where we're at in Florida. Florida is interesting because on the coast, we have treasure from the Spanish galleons that sank off the coast of Florida.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy.
And I actually wrote an article last year called Tragedy, Treasures, and Triumph. I've actually got a copy of the article.
Yeah, show us, pal. Come on. Let's see these.
So this is the article. Let's see if I can get it here.
Get it
right.
further back.
There we go.
Look at that. That is awesome, Marc.
Now,
what a lovely book.
This is about a friend of mine, Jimmy Crossbones, who was metal detecting on the beach a couple of years ago after a couple of northeast storms. And a lot of the sand was taken off. And he found a significant number of coins, both gold, silver coins, reals, escudos, artifacts. I'm going to show you a picture here, another picture.
Sure.
This is some of the gold coins that he found.
My giddy aunt, look at that. Ain't that just absolutely brilliant?
And these are the artifacts. These are some of the artifacts.
To die for, isn't it? To die for.
Right?
Oh, look, the gold. Look.
Somewhere on the east coast of Florida, there's like 400 miles of coast. You guys figure it out. More power to you. But I will tell you this. If you went there today, there is now about 10 to 12 feet of sand over that area. The state of Florida replenishes the sand every year, so
I see.
It's covered over now, so you can't even find it.
Oh, I see. So you've got to wait till it depletes and then go on until they bring the sand on. Do they usually do it during the season, like the beginning of the season then, or don't you really know?
So when he found this, he actually found it on a beach with a metal detector. But every year between April and let's say August to September, there's a season where there's about a dozen boats that go out under the auspices of the 1715 Fleet Queen's Jewels LLC. And they contract with the state of Florida.
Oh, I see.
And they go out, and the state of Florida gets 20% of everything they find.
Oh.
And then they keep the rest, and they split it up with the divers and the boat owners and all the investors. But yeah, so Jim was very fortunate in that he found.
Yeah, he revealed to keep it himself. Well, more or less.
Yeah. So So we find everything from pull tabs what you just saw, which was an amazing treasure, right? So
Yeah.
the joke over here is that the post office knows to send all their pull tabs to me. So all you got to do is throw it in the mail, and they'll ship them to me because I'm
No.
kind of known for pull tabs.
Ah, and they're paying for that. So what's your sort of the recent machines then, Mark?
Yeah, so I've used the Mine Lab Excalibur on the beach and
Mm.
in the water.
Nice machine.
I use the Mine Lab Equinox.
Oh, of course, yeah.
But right now for relic hunting, I just got back from Utah. I was working on a project out there that we're working on. It's called Uncharted Expedition.
Mm-hmm.
We were doing some filming out there. Garrett Metal Detectors is our major sponsor. And I was with KG and
Mm.
Ranger, who were on National Geographic for 3 years. They were out there with us,
Uh-huh.
and we were all using the Garrett AT Max. And I can't really disclose everything that
No,
we
no, no,
found,
no, no. That's okay.
but
That's okay.
but I'll tell you this. What a lot of people don't know is the Spanish were exploring all across North America in the 17 and 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
So we found a smelter where they were actually mining silver and bringing it in and smelting it into
Oh.
silver bars. Um, KG found a really significant old button that indicates that we know that they were in that area. So
Oh.
we
Okay.
found a lot of other stuff, but
Uh-huh.
we
Uh-huh.
now know where they were working out of, and we filmed all of that. And so this will all be aired in November on
Okay.
unchartedexpedition.com is the name of the show.
Yeah, I think I might have to have a word.
Not famous either. I just tell people that my motto is have adventure, will travel.
Yeah.
I've never been to England, so anybody listening that wants to invite me, I'm willing to come over and come
Well,
home.
you're coming over then.
All
You
right,
are coming
okay.
over, mate. You have to hang out with me a bit then, mate.
There you go.
Yeah. So, what is the latest machine then? What's the that
Yeah,
you're
so
using?
if you see it right here behind me, I'm using the Garrett AT Max.
Oh, that's the go-to machine. Yeah.
Right, and
Yeah.
I've got a small coil on it,
Oh, okay. All
and
right. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
really
Yeah. Yeah.
good for the really rugged areas that we're hunting in. And
Mm-hmm,
it's really a great relic machine.
mm.
So that's really the one I'm using right now.
Oh, okay. And
Yeah.
when did you start the group, or be affiliated with this group? Then
Yeah, so I'm in dozens of groups, but I decided to start my own group.
Uh-huh.
Now,
Uh-huh.
Adventures in History is not really a metal detecting group per se. We have a lot of metal detectors in there.
Okay.
But my goal with Adventures in History was to start a group where people could share stories,
Hmm.
their adventures,
Yeah.
history, uh, their recoveries, with metal detecting. But I didn't want it to be just metal detecting. I wanted it to be more about the history, the exploration. Yeah.
Um,
So, I mean, and just in that regard, John. So, last year I hunted bottles. My wife doesn't metal detect, but last year she went with me. We went bottle digging, button digging in an old button dump.
oh.
We went to a diamond mine in there's a state park in Arkansas where you can actually look for small diamonds.
Oh.
So she did all three of those with me, and I went. I'm a diver also, so I
Yeah,
went
yeah, yeah. Nice.
diving for megalodon teeth. I do
Oh,
magnet fishing.
nice. Yeah, it's
Fossil hunting.
great. Yeah, that magnet fish. Yeah, I might
Yeah,
join you one of them.
you should do that. Now,
Ah.
when I go to Alaska, we're going to actually go to Nome.
All
And
right. Yes, 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 yes.
last year, a guy actually found a 7-ounce nugget using a metal detector.
Whoa.
He
It's a
was
few.
metal detecting on the road, and they said, "Why are you metal detecting on the road?" And he said, "Because where do you think they put all the tailings from the mining operation 100 years ago? Well, they made the road out of all those tailings.
Ah, yeah.
So if you metal detect the road, you can probably have a good
Yeah,
chance of
yeah,
finding a nugget that they missed."
yeah. Oh, definitely, definitely. Have you got any stories then to tell us? Any interesting stories that happened, things that happened to you, or things that happened to some of the group, or some of your friends? Anything like that?
Well, I think I mentioned about going out to Utah, and
Mm.
and that was a lot of fun. A couple of years ago, I went to an old gold mining ghost town
Oh yes.
in Idaho,
Uh-huh.
and that was a lot of fun. Now, what was interesting about this ghost town is it burned down in the 1930s,
Okay.
and it was one of the largest towns in Idaho when the gold rush was going on because they found gold in the rivers. Everybody went out there. They built these towns, and they began to wane, and then a fire came through and just burnt everything. So when I
Well,
was
everything's wood,
walking,
isn't it? Yeah, yeah. Mm.
yeah, when I was walking around, you could see the broken glass from the fire. The glass was melted, and I was using my metal detector, and I got a hit, and I found this little bottle.
Oh, that's nice.
And if you notice, it's got a little top on it. The top was still on it, and it almost looks like a little thimble.
Yes, it does. It
It looks like a
does.
little thimble, and it still screws on. So I got
Right.
this, cleaned it up,
Complete.
and it says Panades of Paris. So
Nice.
I'm thinking, well, the first thing, the fact that it was still whole, not broken or not melted,
Yeah, yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
amazing. But it was under the dirt, so that preserved it from the fire. But when we looked it up, I was assuming that, Edward Panade, founded perfume in France in the 1830s,
All
right?
right.
And then by the late 1800s, he was world famous.
Mm.
And my wife, I assumed this was a perfume bottle. Didn't
Right.
look like it, right?
Yeah.
And I figured, well, some guy, some miner out there in the wilderness, ordered perfume for his sweetheart,
Yep.
out there in the
Yep.
wilderness.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Well, my wife found a poster, and what
Oh.
this is a hair tonic bottle.
Oh, I see.
And so what they would do is, go to the barber shop, put the tonic on your hair. And this was displayed at the 1900 World Exposition. By then, Panade was world famous. And
Wow.
now, if you go into a Walmart, you can find Panade products in a Walmart.
Can you?
So, anyway, that's a great little story.
Yeah, because it is. Yeah, the guy lives on even though he's not with us.
Yeah.
I bet. I bet
And
he's happy.
yeah,
Yeah.
he
Have you got
go
any
ahead.
other stories then? Any other stories to tell us? Or
I got all kinds of stories, John. I
good,
don't
you
know.
go ahead. We'll get to the artifacts later.
Well, all the stories are related to the
Oh,
artifact.
that's good. That's great. Go on then. Come on. Bring it on.
Yeah, so we got a call. Our club, by the way, I'm in the Central Florida Metal Detecting Club.
Okay.
This is our 50th year in existence. It was founded in 1972, and we're the largest club in the United States out of Orlando,
Oh.
Central Florida. So we're celebrating our 50 years this year. We get calls occasionally from the police department to
Oh.
help them go find. So I'm on the Central Florida Metal Detecting Search Team,
Okay.
and we got a call. It was a murder case. There was a young man. It's a sad story. The young man was walking down the street and it was very early in the morning, and was shot and was killed. So they
Oh.
wanted us to help him. They wanted us to help find uh, some of the evidence,
Mm,
and
mm.
so uh, I was digging down, and I got a signal about a foot down, and I it was a piece of black metal. I threw it in my pouch with the intent of later on when I got home I would just throw it away. Okay, and
Mm.
we found some of the evidence. We didn't find everything, but we found some of the evidence. So I got home, and my wife was standing on the driveway with my sister-in-law, and I said, she said, "Well, what did you find?" my sister-in-law. And I said, well, just a bunch of old junk. We were looking for evidence. And I pulled this out, and it was solid black. And I was getting ready to throw it in the trash. And she said, wait, 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 wait. I see something. And what she saw were these little hinges on the back,
Oh, definitely.
right? She saw
Oh,
these
yes.
hinges, and I had not seen them. And
Uh-huh.
so she said, I think there's something in there.
Correct.
So I opened it up, and it was full of dirt. So there was nothing in there. But this is what it looks like on the inside.
Oh, I think, yeah, that looks silver as well. Is there any hallmarks in there? There's a hallmark there, isn't there?
No, there's no hallmarks, but there's a little design on the outside. It's a butterfly. I don't know if you can
Yeah,
see it
yeah,
very
yeah,
well.
yeah.
A little butterfly
Right,
there.
okay.
Anyway, we're not quite sure what it is. It might be a cigarette
Okay,
case. They might
no,
be like
I don't think it is.
what do you think it is, John?
I think it's like it probably held like a sponge thing inside
A
with
what?
perfume.
You
And
might
it
be
might,
right. Might be like a compact case, a woman's
yeah,
compact
yeah,
case.
and when they're going around where it's a bit smelly or something like that, or I just want to dab some
Right.
perfume on it to make it smell because yeah, I think that could be something like that. There again, I might
So
be wrong, but it
so
could be a
anyway,
cigarette.
this is kind of what it looked like, but I went ahead and just polished it up on the other side just to so
Ah,
you can see what it looks like. This is what it looked
okay,
like originally, because I got it down to
yeah.
the original
Does
brass.
it say anything on the other side there, Mark?
No, I can't find any other hallmarks or anything. But
Okay, I tell you,
anyway, but
if
you
you've
never
got,
know.
have you got some like silver cleaner?
I do. This is not
Well,
silver. This is
oh, it's
brass.
definitely not silver. It's because the way to find out if it's silver is to get the silver cleaner,
Right.
touch it, and if it comes black, it's silver. That
I got you.
if it doesn't come black, it's not silver.
Right. That's good to know. But yeah, we've tried everything. This is definitely not silver. But it's a
Oh,
great. But
shame.
what I tell everybody is, this is, I'm just so you know, I'm a pirate at heart.
Okay.
If you see this little thing that I'm wearing, this is a pirate's cursed coin.
All right.
If you
Oh,
watch the movie Pirates of the Caribbean,
oh, of course, yes.
there was a missing pirate coin. One
Yes,
coin was
yes, yes,
missing.
yes, yes. That's correct.
There it is, right there. So if they ever want it back, I'm wearing it. This is one of a
Okay,
kind. This
right.
is one of a
Yeah,
kind right here.
big check to come then, is the Mark? Big check to come.
There you go. So anyway, the final story here is what I tell everybody is this is a pirate's business card case. I put, I put all my business cards in here,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
it
yeah,
fits
yeah.
perfectly.
Yes, I think it might be. I think it might be too big for a perfume thing because they're usually a lot smaller. A lot smaller.
Yeah. So this really
Mm.
fits
Might be
my
a
business.
cigarette thing. It might be a cigarette thing. I think you might be right about that.
They rolled cigarettes back then, and I think they could. It
Yeah,
could
yeah,
very
yeah.
well be what you said it was, but it could also be for rolled cigarettes.
Yeah, that's quite interesting, really. It's a bit have any hallmarks that you could definitely, or trademarks to sort of see if it has some names, and then you could sort of trace that back to the company, then, can't you? Really?
Yeah.
Because it'd be
Yeah.
interesting to know who
Yeah,
made it.
I've found some similar cases to it. We dated it to around 1910 to 1920 era, so back to the early 1900s. Of course, not old for you guys, but it's kind of a neat little piece for me. My recent coins.
Come on,
Now, these are not old. I
this
mean,
is
you
this is
guys,
fine. No, 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 no. Carry on. You
you're
carry
like
on.
1400s,
Yeah,
1500s.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Uh,
You carry on. No, it's fine. I can appreciate it because you have your history. But you see, it's unique to you. You've got to realise that your finds over in your area are exciting more to you because they're rare to find. If you see
So
what I'm saying?
yeah, and so in Florida, if you go back 100 years, 50 to 100 years and beyond, in Florida, we had orange groves.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Lots and acres, just like
Uh
you
huh.
have
Uh huh.
fields over there. We had miles and miles of orange groves. We don't have as many anymore, but I always wanted to metal detect in an orange grove because I heard stories where a lot of the workers back in the early 1900s and maybe even the mid 1900s, they didn't have bank accounts. They were paid in silver
Of
dollars,
course, yes.
half dollars, whatever. So I always wanted to metal detect in an orange grove.
Perfect
And
sense. Perfect sense.
and a couple of months ago, I had the opportunity. We went down to South Florida. There's a really old town. You know, a lot of people don't realize this. I think about Florida as Disney World, hotels, beaches.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We have some old towns in Florida that it's
All
like
right.
going back in time. You
All
know, you
right.
go into these towns and people know everybody. They're small towns. There's a lot of old history there. So we went to this little town, and I was hunting in an orange grove, and it was over 100 degrees. I was sweating bullets. I mean, I was dying. And I got a signal. And honestly, when I turned it over, I didn't really realize what I had.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
I had this tiny little coin, and I'm going to show it to you.
Sure.
But this,
Maybe put it in a plastic container or something. Ah, yeah, something like that. That might just do it. I'll tell you. I'll tell you if it focuses. Get in front of your camera and try to stay still, because when you do drink, oh
not working.
no, 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 it's not. Nothing's
I
happening.
apologize, but it's a
Well,
tiny
you can't do much about it.
It's a
Oh,
tiny coin.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, it
yeah.
is little.
Very good.
53 seated. It's a half dime.
Half time.
We have nickels over here now, but back then, they had 3 cent dimes. They had a trime,
Yes, I've heard of this.
large cents. And so
Yes, yes.
anyway, when I finally realized what I had, I called a friend of mine. I said, "You're not going to believe this, but I just found an 1853 half dime." So,
It's
tiny.
exciting.
It's exciting,
Of
yeah. I
course it
mean,
is.
and I found it
Don't think I'm not excited. I'll be happy to find that. Don't worry
and
about that.
I found it in an orange grove the first time I was hunting in an orange grove.
Yeah. And
So
did you find anything else there, Mark?
we found some, coins like V nickels, bullets,
Any
some other.
significant artifacts then that could sort of date that period?
Nothing really. Well, there were a couple of small buckles, shoe
Oh,
buckles, things
oh
like
yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
nothing really other than
Other than
uh,
that,
a few old coins,
and
like
how long did you spend detecting there then?
well, the whole area. I was only in the orange grove less than an hour. It was too hot. Well, we're trying to go back.
Yeah.
It's not our property. We had a permission to go back. We're trying to get permission to go back.
You go off season when it's a bit cooler.
Well, this is the time for us to go back now, and if we can work it out to go back, we're going to
Is
do
it
that.
your spring? Is it your spring now then, like ours? Spring.
It's spring now. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
there are not so much in Florida, but places like Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina. There are large plats of land that, in fact, they just finished an event called Dick Stock that is very much like Detective Ball. It's all week long. All the
Oh
manufacturers
yeah,
are
yeah, yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
They
that's nice.
modeled
Yeah.
it after Detective Ball, I think, but they were in South Carolina. It's before the crops are planted. A lot of things were found. Some really interesting coins, artifacts, and so that's it's called. I think it was Dig Stock 3. So every year this is growing,
That's about it.
right? And they're literally. I think today is the last day of Dig Stock, and the only reason I didn't go was because I just got back from Utah
Oh, okay.
when I was hunting out there, and that was out in West.
Uh-huh. How far
But
was that then, Mark? How far was that?
you have to remember now, I was doing this as part of Uncharted Expedition.
Oh yeah, I see.
There's 8 episodes. I'm in episode 2, 5, 8, and so there's certain episodes that are being set up where where they really need metal
Mm,
dowel,
mm.
and a lot of people are hunting those battlefields now. And then after this month, they'll all be planted,
All right.
and then they'll be harvested, and then back in October,
October.
September, Octoberish, they'll go back
Oh,
out.
I
October,
see.
probably
Quite
October,
late.
November.
It's quite late, isn't it? Yeah. In
Yeah,
England, it's round about July and August.
right. Now here it's more like October. So, people will be diving in the lakes and the rivers during the
Yeah.
summer,
Okay. Okay.
and then they'll harvest the crops, and then it'll be too cold to get in the water, and so people will be detecting now. I haven't done very much Civil War hunting. I'm going to show you one thing that I
Yeah. Go.
found.
Go. Come on.
I was up in Virginia. It was on one of my very first personal hunts. I did one where it was we were doing some research up in Ohio, but I went on one just for myself, and I got a signal, and it was a lump of clay, and I really didn't know what I was looking at. And a friend of mine said, I called him on the radio, and I said, "Hey, I think I got something." And he said, "Well, what do you see?" And I said, "Well, there's a little. I think I see part of an S, like the letter S." And he said, "No way." He said, "Turn it over on the back. What do you see?" And I said, "Well, there's these two little hooks on the back of it." And he dropped everything and he came running across the field and he said, "I can't believe what you got." And it's kind of beat up, but what it is, it's a U.S. belt plate from the Civil War.
From the Civil War.
Somebody wore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll get it in a little closer. You can see the U and
Oh.
the S
Oh.
on there,
Yes. 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 You
right?
can. You can. Yes.
And and then on the back, there's these two little hooks right here. Get it right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
was there would have been an area right. This is hard. There would have been an area where there would have been a little hook there that would have hooked into the belt.
Oh, I see. I see. I
And
see.
anyway, this is what I found, and so that was,
Yeah.
and then we found a bunch of bullets, Civil War bullets, and things like that. But that was, and people have said, well, why don't you get, it's pretty beat up, and they said, well, why don't you get it restored? And I said, I don't want to restore it because that belt plate it's emblematic of how brutal that war was, right?
Mm.
So it's beat up, and that's the way it was during the war.
Yeah. It was.
So
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
I'm just going to leave it like it is.
Leave it as it is. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Have you got any more stories, Mark? Any more, or are we coming to the end of the stories now? I'm sure you've
Well,
got plenty. Or have you got any more other artifacts you want to show us?
I got a couple more things.
Oh, come on then.
So a lot of people, they find horseshoes.
Uh huh.
They don't really think a lot about horseshoes,
Oh, well,
but
I do. I do. I bet. Did you know? Did you know in England we have cow shoes?
yes, I did know that.
Oh, I can't tell you anything, can I?
So, ox shoes, horseshoes,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what I've done is I take
Oh yeah.
horseshoes and I restore the horseshoe and
Oh
then I
yes.
mount them like this. These are actual original horse tacks. So I do that, and this one is handmade. This horseshoe is handmade,
Uh huh. Uh huh.
and it was found in a plantation in North Florida.
Do you think
And
that's about 100-year old then, or something like that?
now this is closer to, let's see, this one is closer to 200 years old.
All
It's like
right.
about the
Quite old then.
1820s. So it's about 200 years old. It was
Oh,
hand
right.
formed.
Right. 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 Right.
And then here's another one that I found. Um, this is a
Quite fancy,
horseshoe
isn't it?
that, if you look, there's a little ridge like right
Yes.
here
Yes. Yes. Yes.
going up this way.
Yep. Yep.
And what I found out was this is a racing horseshoe.
Oh, I see.
So when the horses are going around the track, one part of it needs to have a little better traction than the other one, and
Oh, I
so that's why
see.
they have that ridge. Anyway,
That's interesting.
that's another one that I did.
That's
Um,
educational.
yeah, so I like to do that with the horseshoes. Here's another
Yeah.
one that I restored. This is something else. Now, when I was growing up, I was in scouting,
Uh
Boy
huh.
Scout,
Uh huh.
and I was up in New Jersey, and I found a really black axe head. And when I got it home and cleaned it up, it had the Boy Scout logo on it.
Oh.
And so I went ahead and restored it. And this is what it looks like now.
Oh, look at that.
And you can see the Boy Scout logo right here.
Yeah.
That's a stamp that the original manufacturer of the axe head made. And because I was in scouting, I went ahead and got
The
the
stock.
hickory, yeah,
Yeah.
the hickory
Yeah.
stock, made it all. I got a leather sheath for it.
All right. Right.
So, you know, when you find these artifacts, I mean, I like to take them and make them so that you can display them and,
Yes. Why not? It's a good
right?
idea.
Yeah. So, yeah. So every one of these artifacts has a story to it. And I think the last story I was going to tell you, John, was I think I sent you this story on Facebook. Um, I got a call one time. Now I know a lot of people around the world in our metal detecting. We get calls from people that say, "Hey, I lost my ring, or I lost my watch, or I lost something," and we go out and find it for
Hmm.
them. And there's lots of great stories along that. A couple of years ago, I was with some people. We found somebody's ring. So a lot of my friends who are probably watching right now have done a great job of like
Hmm.
diving in the water, finding rings, finding lost personal items.
Hmm.
One of my favorite was a couple of years ago. I got a call where a gentleman had a Rolex watch. And it was given to him in 1973 when he graduated from high school,
Hmm.
and he lost the bezel on the watch, the outer ring.
Oh, I see.
It was a dive watch, and he lost that. That bezel you cannot buy anymore. It's a one of a kind, meaning that you can't just go out and buy another one and
No,
put it
so
on
he
your
needs, he
watch.
needs to find that then
You need
to
to
where he
find it,
lost it.
yeah, and it's a valuable watch, and it's personal because it was given to him by his parents when he graduated from high school.
Yeah, I bet we're
They
upset about.
they looked for 3 days for that bezel, and what they said was they he was working in the hedges and the bees were flying around his head, and he took his hands and he threw them up, and the bezel went flying off, and nobody knew where it was. They couldn't find it, so they asked me if I'd come out and help. So we went out to help, and I looked at the house, and there was a hedge that was about, I don't know, 40 feet long,
Right.
and I was just like, oh no.
Too
um,
much. Yeah,
I
it could be
took
too high.
I said, I'm going to take my pin pointer and I'm going to go down every inch of that hedge where he was working and see
Yeah,
if I
good
can
idea.
find it.
Yeah.
And I was getting signals everywhere, John. And there were roofing nails everywhere
Oh.
along that hedge, everywhere.
Oh.
I was pulling out roofing nails.
Oh.
And, and I forgot to bring it in, but I heard a clink. It wasn't a signal. It was a clink like hitting glass,
Yeah, yeah.
like hitting glass. And I pulled out of the dirt a beautiful crystal vase that was in the dirt
Ah.
in the hedge. And I said, well, look at this. There's a crystal vase here. It wasn't what I was looking for. But anyway, I pulled it out, set it aside. And then later on, I was hunting in the yard. And believe it or not, I found the bezel.
Oh,
The
great.
bezel was standing straight up on edge, just like that. And I pulled it out, and I went up to the door. I had not met the owner. Other
Oh, I
people
see.
had met. And
I
I,
bet they were happy.
I knocked on the door and I said, "Listen, I heard you lost your bezel for your watch." And he said, "Yes." And now I had the bezel in my hand. I had it closed. And I said, "Can you describe that bezel for me?" And he said, "Oh yeah, it goes to this watch, and it looks like this, and it's black." And I said, "Well, does it look like this one?" And he went, "Oh my gosh, you found my bezel." Anyway, I said, "Yeah, we did." And he was all excited. We got
Oh, yeah. Well,
pictures
you
and
would be.
everything. And I said, "Oh, by the way, I found this crystal vase in your yard, and it's got to be at least 100 years old. And he looked at it, and he was about to take it, and he said, "No, you found my bezel. You take the crystal vase."
Ah,
So he
I
gave that
see.
to me as a memento. And then he said,
Oh,
"Is there anything else that I can do for you guys for doing this?" And he had a 6-acre property, historic property. And you know what I said. I said,
yeah.
"Can we metal detect the rest of your property?" So
Yeah.
we spent the rest of the day metal
Yeah.
detecting his property. So
Did you
that was
find
one of
any?
the,
Did you find
we
anything?
found Indian head pennies,
Oh,
railroad spikes. Apparently the railroad
oh, I see.
had gone and behind his house before it was built at one time. So we found railroad artifacts, Indian head pennies, and so anyway, it was a great day. And
Oh, yeah.
he was
It was
he was
great.
literally he was literally heading off to go snow skiing on vacation, and he said, "Listen, we're leaving. You guys hunt as long as you want to, but we're leaving. We're going on vacation." But he went on vacation with the brand or the bezel for his watch.
I bet he did. I bet he
So
was chuffed.
he was happy.
Yeah, well, because it was a memento from his parents. I mean,
There you go.
complete. I mean,
Yeah.
it means more than money, really, doesn't it? Something like that.
It's priceless to him.
It is priceless. It is priceless, and it's these artifacts and things that you find that sometimes you think, it's not worth selling. I'd rather find the owner and give it to them,
Right.
whether it's a ring or that's a wedding band or something like that. Many a time you just can't really trace them half of the people. But
Right.
for me, I've been dragged in abroad because I go abroad looking for modern jewellery in the sea. And sometimes you get people coming, I've lost my ring, blah, 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 this and that, another wedding band and whatever. Okay, and you go along and of course, just like you, I have to, can you describe the ring, please? Because you've got a ring there and it's
Yeah.
something similar to what they've said. And they say, yes. Now, have you got any names or anything? Yes, it's got this, that number, and it was exactly the ring. So I thought, there you go. And then they go, they found it. Because
We've
it
had
is not easy, is it? It's not an easy sort of. If you're not there with the metal detector, they've no chance.
That's true.
No
We've
chance.
had people that have lost, items decades ago and they're found. We've had people, just cry, when
Yeah,
it's returned. It's just an incredibly rewarding
yeah, it
thing
is.
to
It
do to
is.
be able to find
Oh,
something for
it is.
somebody
It is.
rewarding.
Yeah, and I don't mind. If you've got some information to go on, it's great to return it to the owner. It really is,
Right.
and I think it's just exciting for yourself because to give people pleasure, it's giving you pleasure to give that pleasure to them, which is nice. It's just because it isn't all about money. It's about giving something to somebody's that's more precious than money to them, more sentimental value, which you're trying to give to them, which means a lot to me and quite a lot of people like yourself, which is brilliant, really. You
Well,
know,
it's funny, John, and that does give me a lot of pleasure to be
yeah,
able to help people out. But, I've been showing you some of my stuff. I know you found in a lot of stuff, way more than, than
yes,
I have. I have friends, uh, that have just almost can have a museum with all the stuff that they found.
yes.
And I'm going to tell you, and this is going to sound cliche, but this is the truth. The greatest treasure for me are the friendships of the people that I've met. Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, doing all of this, the people
Absolutely.
that I've met, the
How can you
friendships
put
that
a
I've
price
made,
on that, Mark? How can you put a price on that?
you can't. And, I consider
I'm
this,
meeting people like you all over the world, chatting, sharing the same hobby, making friends. It's brilliant. I love it. I love it because we're sharing our stories, we're sharing our experiences, we're sharing our knowledge together and
right,
helping each other. I mean, how
right,
can you put a price on that? And that's what I do, and I'm sure that you do the same thing. I try to help people as much as I can, give them advice because I've been detected a long time, and with machines or whatever I can. And that to me is my greatest pleasure. It is my greatest pleasure because if I can save somebody money with the knowledge that I can pass on, because I know right at the beginning when I started, I wasted quite a lot of my money trying to figure out what machine to buy. Because nobody had no advice. Nobody could give me any advice. I just went for a particular machine and, oh, no, that's not the one or whatever. And eventually you had to move on and buy. And then, is that okay? No, I didn't like that because of whatever reason. Or you move on to another, oh, I don't like that. And then it's like that. And but now to get knowledge to help you, and even now to help you how to work a machine. Because the technology now is really gone beyond pressing buttons.
Well, think about it this way. Here's the way I think about it is everything that we find, all this stuff, we're only temporary stewards of those items for somebody else to find a couple hundred years from now.
True.
And I have I have 4 grandkids now, and 2 of them are old enough that they really enjoy metal detecting with me.
Wow.
So, as a hobby, whether it's bottle digging, magnet fishing, metal detecting, it's something that I can do with my family, with my friends. We go on adventures together. As long as the good Lord allows us to be on this earth, we can enjoy this friendship around the world. We can do it with our family. And at some point, all of this stuff that we find, we're going to pass it on to other people, or we're going to lose it and somebody else is going to find it.
Yep.
But the real thing that's going to last is the legacy with our families and our friends as we move on.
Yeah. Yeah, the history we've found and the artifacts tells its own story. Because I believe, when you find the artifacts and coins, or that is factual evidence of whatever happened there, and that's the important thing. Facts. We've got an artifact that says, somebody came walking here with whatever clogs and the fastener came off, or buttons of certain period people walked on from the First World War, second, whatever period. So the history you're digging out, and also bringing it to life, Mark, bringing it to life for other people to understand and get educated about. And I think in my minefield of education, I could do it writing a book if anybody's out there. Let's get some books written. I mean, you've been there a while with me. Boy, have I got some knowledge. Have I got some knowledge and finds? Oh, boy.
You should start writing. I have a friend here in Florida, Terry Shannon. You may have heard of him. He's down on the treasure.
Yeah, I think I've heard of him.
He's just finished his 4th book. Terry has found some quirks about 6 months down here in Florida, and then he goes back up to Minnesota during the hot Florida summers, and he works out there, and he metal detects up there. He's a retired policeman. A retired sheriff, I should say. He's got some phenomenal stories. In fact, you should interview him sometime.
Yeah, get him on.
He's got some great stories.
Have a little chat, will you? Have a chat with him, Mark. Have a little chat with him, Mark. Get on the John. Get over in UK then. Have a little bit of an interview with John about your experiences. Yeah, I think it'd be great. I bet you'll have some right stories, Mark. Oh boy. You'll have some really good stories to say.
I mean, Terry gets me laughing all the time.
Yeah, well, that's
like I said, he just finished writing his 4th book. Another person you should probably interview is a guy named Gary Penta. Gary has a website called mydetecting.com. Mydetecting.com.
Okay.
Gary makes, and I'm sorry I don't have any in my office right now. I have a whole section set up for his stuff. He makes miniature metal detectors.
All right.
So he has like a miniature Mind Lab or a miniature Garrett AT Pro. And the detail is so incredibly detailed. It's unbelievable what he makes.
Wow.
And, these are one-of-a-kind arts. He signs everything. And he makes treasure boxes, miniature displays.
I think we're going to have to call it a do at the moment, or we'll have to finish up because we're going past a certain period. But it's been absolutely awesome having you on, Mark.
My pleasure.
I hope you're open to an update, maybe in a month or 2 or 6 weeks or something. What you're up to, what you're doing, any other finds you've got. We'll book you again and come in and say, yeah, hey, I found a treasure chest of whatever, So wait for a couple of months and we'll book in again, because it's been great
That
talking
sounds
to you.
good.
Fascinating talking to you. As ever, thank you very much. And we will catch you hopefully later on the year, maybe? What do you think?
It sounds good. Let's do it.
We'll do it, okay? Keep in contact with me, and thanks for joining me and having being a guest on my channel. You take care. I'll
Sounds
speak to
good.
you later.
Thanks, Ron.
See you
Take
later.
care.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Well, that was the end of that interesting chat.